Well, to be two capital G here, giving you guys my ban list prediction slash ban list discussion slash ban list wish list video all in one. Obviously, we are post November 20th, so at any given time in the TCG, Konami can feel free to just go ahead and throw down a ban list. So I feel like it's a good time to start trying to talk about this and what needs to change. In my opinion, this video is going to, obviously serve as all of those things. So not just going to be talking about what I think is going to happen, but what I want to happen mostly. And that's why this list is so big. I kind of feel like right now we need one of the biggest ban lists that we've gotten in some years, because I kind of feel like there are a lot of problems in the game, but I feel like the problems can't be solved by hitting one card. I kind of feel like there are a lot of cards that need to be hit, and they all are kind of lumped together. But before I talk about that, let's talk about the Maxi video that I uploaded yesterday. You guys know that I said basically there was an inside source at Konami who talked about Max C, said that it could be coming off the ban list. Firewall Dragon Stand 1 confirmed, and the reason I deleted that video is because that information was actually false. On John's stream, there's a guy who impersonates Jerome McHale for some reason, and I'm not gonna lie, I was completely fooled. I think it's an inside joke on their stream, but I just did not know it at all. I thought that it was 100% Jerome McHale, so when I found that out, I deleted the video. I don't want to be spreading fake news, and for anybody out there who bought a Max C because of that video or anything like that, I'm sorry. Maybe you traded for one. I do apologize, but again, I deleted the video. Just wanted to go ahead and address it at the beginning. And I'm not even going to talk about Maxi anymore, man. I'm not going to put it on this list because I feel like I'm just 0 for 2 with Maxi at this point. You know what the ultimate irony would be? If Konami decided to just go ahead and limit Maxi just to make me look even foolisher. I feel like that would be like the epitome of irony if Konami did ultimately move Maxi back to limited status. But let's go ahead and talk about this list that I have made up. And don't get me wrong, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is still a fun game, but I kind of feel like we need a heavy list right now. So for starters, I got the burn cards. You guys know the Power 5. These are all burn cards. I've talked about them ad nauseum on this channel. They're completely interchangeable, and I feel like if you don't hit these cards, then you have to ban Grapha, you have to ban Black Terra. The problem is, and I've said it before, people actually want to play Grapha in 2019. Danger Dark World, even without the FTK, I feel like is a very strong and legitimate deck. No one actually wants to play Cannon Soldier. No one actually wants to play Toon Cannon Soldier. Toons don't run Toon Cannon Soldier. There are better tunes for them to run. People just use this because it allows you to win turn 1, and that's incredibly efficient in Yu-Gi-Oh! There's nothing more efficient than an FTK that can be, highly consistent. So I kind of feel like just get these cards out of the game. Obviously, all of them were designed way back when there were no hard ones per turn, so they're really not cards that are healthy for today's Yu-Gi-Oh! In addition to that, I have another burn card that you guys know that I don't really like that much, Gem Knight Lapis Lazuli. I feel like Master Diamond got hit because of this card, and the ultimate irony was the Gem Knight FTK was still viable. And for anybody thinking, it's just table 500 trash, I mean, it did top YCS London, so I don't think table 500 trash tops YCS events. And the guy said, yeah, you can still totally pull it off even with Master Diamond at 1. So Konami obviously hit the wrong card. They should have hit this card. It's the burn card, and honestly, it just doesn't really feel like a Gem Knight. It doesn't feel like a card that needs to be in the archetype to begin with. So these are the obligatory burn cards. We've talked about them. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the other cards maybe you guys did not see coming. So we'll go ahead and start out with Topologic Gumblar Dragon. This is a card that, to me, even when the FTKs are eliminated out of Yu-Gi-Oh! This card, like, to me, single-handedly makes going second, like, just a fucking nightmare for people and playing against decks that like to, link spam, because it's like, all right, I can deal with an extra link. There are outs like the Winged Dragon Ross Spirit Mode, Evenly Match, and Regeki, etc., but I can't deal with an extra link when you've taken 4 cards out of my hand. Like, how is that healthy? I mean, don't get me wrong, I said that this card wasn't going to be that good and when I first reviewed it, but I didn't realize how easy it was going to be to summon, and then that we were also going to get Summon Sorceress, and the fact that people would be discarding things like Phoenix Blade and Phantom Knight monsters that really want to go to the graveyard because you can just get other cards from those, or Phoenix Blade can add itself. To me, I kind of feel like this is the worst card right now to deal with going second if you don't get FTK'd, and I kind of feel like this card makes going second in Yu-Gi-Oh! Outside of decks like Cyber Dragon kind of makes it not an option. Next up, I have Nightmare Mermaid. This is one that people are going to rage at me and say, Cap G, shut up, don't know what the hell you talking about. Look, to me, yes, I understand that it's pretty much known that I have a grudge against Nightmares. I don't like them. I said that they were going to ruin the game, which I think that I was right about, to be honest. But I look at Nightmares, and I think that they fall into two categories, right? There's your Nightmares that are spot removal, which is like Phoenix, Cerberus, Unicorn. Those are ones that I'm okay with those. Those are just cards. You discard a card, you get rid of a card on your opponent's side of the field. Those are 1-for-1s. And then you have the ones that are extenders. I'm not even gonna talk about Griffin because no one fucking summons that card, but then you have your extenders. These are the cards that basically allow you to continue link spamming, and those are the cards I'm not fine with. Obviously, Nightmare Goblin was a super extender, but then you obviously have Nightmare Mermaid. This is a card that summons Corruptor from your deck. It lets you continue link spamming, and then it forces the Corruptor on your opponent or onto your opponent's side of the field and basically locks them out of even being able to use things like Gamma and Impermanence and Evenly Match, which just kind of sucks. Also, if your opponent wants to get that monster off the board, they have to use their battle phase and basically kind of waste it. And I know some people could say, well, why don't you just ban Corruptor Ibli? Then the thing about Corruptor Ibli, and this might sound kind of silly, there are actually practical uses for that card. It's actually a really good normal summon. And I used to play this little, janky table 500 Chaos Max deck where I would summon Ibli, I would try to force it to my opponent's side of the field, and I try to one-shot my opponent with like Blue Eyes Chaos Max. So there are kind of, fun little niche janky things that you can do with Ibli. But I feel like there aren't with Mermaid. Mermaid is very similar to Summon Sorceress. It's only used for link spam degenerate bullshit, and I kind of feel like I want to get that stuff out of the game. If we can't hit Firewall Dragon, we can hit the other cards that kind of, facilitate Firewall Dragon, U-Link, Extra Link bullshit. So, next up we have two Warrior cards that, to me right now, I feel like are tied at the hip. Both of these cards are from the GX era. They ain't no hard once per turns on these. I feel like Armageddon Knight, a lot of people have it at 1. There's a card called Reinforcements of the Army. It kind of makes putting Armageddon Knight at 1 completely pointless in my opinion, because you're playing Rhoda, and that basically means you're playing 2 copies of Armageddon Knight. So, if you have Armageddon Knight at 1, what's really the point? Because you can just search it from Rhoda or hard draw it. I kind of feel like if it's a 1 card FTK, get it out of the game. And even with Malicious out of the game, it's still like a 1 card Don Dragster. It can still send Phantom Knights to the graveyard. You can banish those. Like, honestly, the Dark attribute has just gotten too powerful, man. Like, it's too powerful, and this is a GX card. The fact that people are summoning this off ISO to even extend their plays just shows you how dumb it is. It's a 1 card FTK. At this point, Armageddon Knight, it was one of my favorite mats of all time from February 2008, but the card has just got to go. So I have it at ban status. Destiny Hero Malicious. This is going to sound absurd. Cap G, just put it at limited status. Okay, well then it's still a 1 card I sold with Vision Hero Vion, and I'm not cool going second, and you opened up with I sold and basically just won the duel. Honestly, I've said it before. I don't think I've ever said it in a video, but if you really look at Destiny Hero Malicious, this card has been basically broken in every single era of Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know why people haven't realized this. 5Ds. Never heard of a deck called Teledad? Look and see if Destiny Hero Malicious was in there. Newsflash, it was. Destiny Hero Malicious plus Krevons was all types of synchro spam. And then you obviously had it in GX with Crush Card, Tribute for Monarchs, T-Hero, Diamond Dude Turbo, Perfect Circle Monarchs, and obviously in the Vrains era, it's just as powerful because, Link summoning is basically synchro summoning just without the tuners. So I feel like even if you put this card at 2, you're still going to have the Vision Hero Vion plays. If you have Armageddon Knights and Malicious both legal, then you still have those plays. And honestly, what would be the point of like putting Malicious at 1? I feel like that would make no sense. Like, just go ahead and ban the card. Send a message that these old school GX effects that can help you spam, that are not hard once per turns, like, get them out of the game. Then lastly, we got Soul Charge. Soul Charge is just, man, I'm just be honest, does anyone even really like this card? I feel like just everyone should hate this card. Obviously Link summoning and Synchro summoning are identical, and I always say every Synchro deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Should play Soul Charge, so I think that it kind of translates to Link decks, to be honest. Outside of maybe Salaman-Greats, which kind of want to one-shot their opponents. You know, this card is just way too much of an extender, and it's a recovery card. How many cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Are both a recovery card and an extender? Like, that's what Soul Charge is. If you get it turn one going first, you extend the hell out of your plays, and if your plays get broken and you top deck it, you use it as a recovery card, and a lot of times you can win. Helps you go into those big, you know, super stun fields that you shouldn't be able to, and when the Guard Dragons come out in Savage Strike, like, this card is going to be even more ridiculous, because everybody's going to be making, like, double Crystal Wing plus Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss with like a, you know, Borreload Savage Dragon. I'm done with this card. I feel like we have a billion Monster Reborns in Yu-Gi-Oh! Anyways. We just got 2 more Monster Reborns in like the last 2 sets. That should be enough. No more Soul Charge. Now, when it comes to cards being unbanned, I've got a couple of them. We'll start with Chaos Emperor Dragon. This card got errated. We've already seen the errata version. It's going to be a shonen promo, and I feel like what would be the point of them doing that and then advertising it if they weren't going to actually let us use the card in tournaments? And maybe that's the reason why they picked the Armageddon version as, you know, our YCS prize card. But honestly, what's the point of errating the card and nerfing it if you're not going to give it to us at legal status? So I feel like it's going to be at limited. I also have as kind of my spicy, oh, that's nice, we didn't see that coming, I've got Performance Plus Fire coming off the ban list at limited status. This card is not a problem. I was talking to John Moore last night, and he doesn't seem to like Plush Fire all that much, but I just don't really see how Plush Fire at 1 would be that big of a problem. Like, I think that people think of the Pepe days. Do people understand Plush Fire and Damage Juggler were never at 1? Like, Damage Juggler's at 1 now. But back then, 2015, Konami went from 3 Plush Fire and 3 Damage Juggler straight to 0. Like, these cards were never on the limited list. They just went straight to the ban section, and, you know, Plush Fire has been there ever since. I feel like the card at 1 is fine. It won't matter if it's a hard once per turn then, because it'll be at limited status. So I don't think that this cute little ice cream fire cone thing, it won't be able to cause that much damage at 1. I have the beginning of the end at 1. This is kind of like my obligatory danger hit. I'm not really sure how to hit danger, to be honest, guys. I just don't know. Maybe you have to hit a Lord Darkness, another GX card from Phantom Darkness, just like beginning of the end. But I feel like danger right now, a lot of these variants that link summon, they can use this card like multiple times in a turn. And I said it before, even if Danger lose the FTK, it's still very legitimate with so many other archetypes. A lot of these decks can run this, even if you resolve it one time in a turn. It's like, I don't want you seeing, you know, I don't want you seeing the card twice as, you know, often because you run 2 copies or 3 copies. I kind of feel like this card is absurd. It's you know, a draw 3. It's not a hard once per turn. So I feel like it should be at limited status. Then we have some OCG copies for semi-limits. I originally had Sky Striker Mobilize Engage at 1, because I feel like Sky Strikers are still topping so much, and I think that that is a possibility. However, I kind of feel like Konami is going to copy a couple of things from the OCG. They usually do that. There'll be a couple of hits where they're just like, let's do what the OCG did. I feel like Mobilize Engage, the fact that it's at 2 in the OCG, same thing with Altergeist Multi-Faker. I feel like both of these are basically just going to translate from the OCG to the TCG. I don't think Multi-Faker at 2 really does anything, because Altergeist can get it back from the graveyard with Manifestation or Mary. You can get it from your deck with Personal Spoofing. You can search it from Miluseek. So I don't really think that you know, Milu or Multi-Faker at 2 does much, but I do feel like they will try to hit Altergeist in some type of way, because I mean, the deck did get second at Worlds, and you know, it has proven itself to be a consistent top 32 deck. So I feel like something will happen to it. Then the last couple of cards, these are all cards that are going to go back to unlimited status. So since Lapis Lazuli is banned, there is no reason to keep Master Diamond at 1. Same thing goes with A Assault Core. For some reason, Konami thought it would be a good idea to completely trash ABC as an archetype and make it unplayable, especially with all these freaking Link monsters that they're revealing that all require like machine monsters. Like, ABC can run all of these cards. So I feel like if we're getting the FTKs out the game, then we got to put A Assault Core back at 3. And then Book of Moon should have been tied to the hip with Bottomless Trap Hole and Evac Device. Although those cards are slower, those cards can actually be used against Link monsters. Book of Moon cannot even be used against the new mechanic of the Vrains era. Like, wrap your head around that, and this card is still fucking limited. Book of Moon is, to me, the worst out of the 3. I would much rather run Evac Device or Bottomless Trap Hole than run Book of Moon, because you can't use this against Link monsters. So I feel like the card has no reason to be limited at all, and I feel like Konami is going to finally realize that. So What do you guys think of this ban list? I know it's kind of outside, like this is not a normal CapG ban list because I hit so many cards when it comes to ban. Like I don't think I've ever made a list in my life through all the years of Yu-Gi tubing where I've had this many cards banned. But right now, like you can't hit one of these cards and not hit basically all 5. And if you're going to hit this, like why not hit Gem Knight FTK? Like there are so many problems in the game that require you to hit multiple cards. Like you can't just hit, you know, Armageddon Knight without hitting Malicious. You know what I mean? Vision Hero Vion, by the way. So I kind of feel like the ban list needs to be extremely large right now. But whatever you guys think, if I missed some cards, you feel like cards shouldn't be on here, you feel like cards should be added, or there should be cards that come back, leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, again, I apologize about the Maxi video. Thank you guys for watching, and subscribe if you have not already.